Good evening. Thanks for coming. My name is Jeremiah Stumpf. I'm the golf course superintendent here at Broken Tee. This is my, it'll be 3 years in November, so going on my third season here at Broken Tee. We have a lot of really exciting things going on at Broken Tee here with our golf action plan that we have campaigned as a better Broken Tee. So if you hear that, let me turn this up a little bit. Where's the volume? Which one's the volume? That's it? Okay. Can you hear me now? Whoa. All right, there we go. So yeah, we're campaigning this as a better Broken Tee. You'll see that around a lot out on the golf course. We've made signs that have a QR code on it that get you to the website. So if you ever need more information or want more information, we're continuously updating that so that you guys can see. So today I have with me Rick Phelps, golf course architect. His dad actually designed the original 18 here at Broken Tee, or is the City of Inglewood Golf course when originally. So, and then Shannon Buccio, who's our golf manager here at Broken Tee. Next slide. So I wanted to start off just so everybody knows our goal, our mission here at Broken Tee is promoting a quality golf experience at an affordable price. So we want you to have a good time here, but we want to be open for all skill levels, all ages, everybody, at an affordable price. That's our goal. We're not trying to be the most expensive golf course in the Denver metro area. So next slide. So now I'm going to turn it over to Rick Phelps. He's going to talk about why we tasked him with developing a golf action plan and kind of explain what's going on with that.
Thanks, Jeremiah. Again, I'll do a quick intro. I am Rick Phelps, the son of Dick Phelps, who's designed a bunch of golf courses here in the metro area, but I essentially started my career, if you want to think of it that way, right here. Back in 1976, 77, 10-year-old kid out there with my dad. We used to do our own construction, staking, and surveying back then. And so I was the rod man pounding stakes amongst all the garbage out here on the east side of the Santa Fe River, or the Platte River. So I've been around this course a long time. I haven't been that involved in it most recently until just now. We've been working on this action plan for a little over a year now, putting together basically a roadmap is the way I like to look at it for the next X number of years, whether that's 5 years if we're being really aggressive, or 10 to 15 years based on availability of funds. As most of you probably know, the golf course is an enterprise fund in the city, so whatever the golf course makes is what the golf course has to spend. There's no general fund available, there's no other funding available without extreme effort, bond election and that type of thing. So fortunately, golf since COVID has been great, as you all are also probably aware, as hard as it is to get a tee time anymore. But that means good things for the future of the improvements on the action plan. We do these action plans, we call them master plans, we call them long-term improvement plans, there's whatever name you want to put on it for a lot of different golf courses. And it's all basically driven by the same thing, and that is a golf course is a living, breathing thing that very slowly changes over time, whether you want it to or not. And just like your house, it needs improvements over time. Things break, things wear out. We call that life cycle planning in terms of irrigation system fails, drainage systems fail, cart paths fail, and those are all things that you're seeing out there now. Improvements to the irrigation system have already happened to a large extent, but there's still a lot more to do. Drainage improvements are on this plan. Some of those things have begun already, and Jeremiah will get into that here in a little bit more detail. But basically, we went through the entire golf course and took notes and wrote down anything that could be perceived as a problem, anything that had room for improvement. Again, under the umbrella that we're trying to make this golf course fun and friendly and playable for every skill level of golfer who might come out here to play, without taking the teeth out of the golf course for the best players. So that was kind of the overriding goal on the plan. You'll see if you look at the plans that we're showing a lot of different tee work, adding back tees where we can, adding forward tees in lots of places to try to, again, accommodate all those skill levels of players. Bunker work. Bunkers are, again, one of the primary things that wear out over time. No matter what your irrigation water source is, the bunker sand gets contaminated just with atmospheric pollutants. So after 10, 15, 20 years, the drainage in the bunkers doesn't work anymore. The sand doesn't let the water soak through it or perk through it anymore. It sits on top and gets stuck. So bunkers need to be rebuilt. Cart paths get destroyed by tree roots and by drainage and by use. So that needs to be replaced. So all of those things are on the plan now to be addressed, hopefully, if money is available over the next 10 years. So I don't know if, Jeremiah, if there are specific things that you wanted me to talk about on the plan, or if that just served as an intro, and I'll kick it back to you. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you, Rick. All right. So part of the plan also, not just the golf course, but the clubhouse is, and Shannon Buccio is going to speak on that.
Thank you. So, as been mentioned, we're trying to focus more on course improvements, but also our clubhouse is in need of repair as well. So some of the projects that we're looking at is the clubhouse exterior with siding, windows, gutters. We got some roof repairs that need to be done. We aren't sure about the insulation yet once we open up the siding. Some drain lines to the building, replacing some of the old cast iron piping. Our HVAC rooftop units are rather old, so we're projecting that some of those might need to be replaced. Our restrooms are in need of an update, ADA compliance. So those are just things that are coming down the pipeline. I think what we're going to try to focus on first, if the funding is there maybe later this year, is trying to do the exterior clubhouse, siding, windows, gutters, and the roof, if we can get that stuff done first. So those are things that are going to come over with time as well. And hopefully the other items will stay functioning and we won't have any surprises. But obviously we have to have money and funds for that too in case there are surprises. So I know you're here mostly for course improvements, so I'm going to turn it over to Jeremiah.
Perfect. Thank you, Shannon. All right, so now we're going to talk golf course projects with cost estimates and improvements. So this was in our presentation to City Council last November, and this kind of breaks down the costs, the projects, and the cost, estimated costs. If you know anything about costs of just life in general, everything's going up. So, it's the longer that we wait, the more expensive things are going to get. For starters, pump station repairs. If we don't have water, we don't have a golf course. It doesn't matter what we do out there in Colorado. So that was the top of the list. That was the Front 9 pump station is about 25 years old and could fail at any point. And so we are getting that replaced this November. Actually, that's already pushed through. The RFP is completed. Everything's ordered. So, and then the back 9, we are updating the control panel because it's no longer supported. And then drainage, like Rick talked about. Drainage improvements, we could probably spend more than $200,000, but that's going to focus on especially the east side of the river on holes 1 through 6. We'll talk about that a little bit more coming up here. Water quality improvements, pond aeration, bank stabilization of the ponds, water treatment, and then also trying to get rid of the pesky geese because they just make a big mess in the wintertime. We'll never get rid of them, but we can try. So, and then accessibility. We do really want this place to be here for everybody. We want people to be able to come practice who have never played golf. We want them to go out on the par 3 and have fun, and then when they feel like they're, good enough, they can go play the championship course. Or a player that plays in tournaments wants to come play the championship course as well, with the plans for the back tees and the forward tees and the back tees. And then just the upkeep and expected standards of golf course conditioning. So trying to keep up with everybody, all the other golf courses in the area. There's a lot of very nice golf courses in Denver, and we're always going to be compared to our competition. So that includes cart path repair, replanting trees, bunker renovation, irrigation head replacement, and then tee leveling as well. So here I kind of summarized the projects identified in the golf action plan. So for the golf course itself, we identified anywhere from $7 to $10 million worth of improvements. And for the clubhouse, we're looking at about $1 to $2 million worth of improvements. We are an enterprise fund, and so these improvements will happen as we have funds available, like Rick talked about. This is really cool, something that I actually sat down and did the math on what we've actually spent over the top of our maintenance budget on the golf action plan from 2024 to right now. That includes the pump station project, which was $300,000. We've spent $1.1 million in golf course action plan specific projects, which I think is pretty impressive. We are getting a lot of work done, and we're trying to make this place better and improve it for you all. And then the clubhouse, we're still trying to get the whole picture on the clubhouse, on what to do and what needs to be done. But that is anticipated to begin late 25, early 26. So here, that $1.1 million, this is where it all kind of came from. So pump station, irrigation, we've put over almost $100,000 into the irrigation system on the east side of the river. The west side of the river was redone 2 years ago, and so now the east side is 17 years old at this point, so it's starting to age out. So we have had to make some improvements there. Drainage improvements, cart path repair and replacement. Each year we've been putting $50,000 into that. One of the projects that really is shown is number 4 tee box. I remember when I started here 2.5 years ago, that was a wet, muddy hole that everybody had to drive through and park in. We put cement in that area and drainage, and that area has improved significantly. And then the tree roots on holes 9, 12, and they're not tree roots on 16, but the old dump that was over there. So we made some good improvements on that, and we will look forward to continuing that. Operating equipment. This is a big one. I mean, we can't do our job without the right equipment, and we have invested in a brand new golf cart fleet in 2024, and then on golf course maintenance side of things, we have all the equipment that we need to operate to make the course up to expectations of everybody that plays here. And then water quality, that we get our water from wells at the bottom, from wells, and it's very high in salts and bicarbonates. And so we're fighting unhealthy water, and as we'll talk about here in a second on 1 through 6 is unhealthy water and unhealthy soil. So we have both of those. So I took a picture here of, this is hole 1 through 6, the par 3 in the practice facility. So this was taken last week with the drone, and you can just see all the areas where it doesn't drain well, where we have issues. And then vice versa, you go to the other side of the river. This was taken on the same day. The sun angle is a little bit different, obviously, but that's 7 through 18. You can see what a huge difference soil makes. That's the old riverbed from Bear Creek and the South Platte River. So the soil there is much better than the other side of this side of the river. So I get a lot of questions out there about holes 1 through 6, the par 3 in the practice facility. Why the lack of turf? What's going on? For starters, it's built on an old dump. In order to cap the methane vents and the rest of the stuff that was in the dump, they had to cap it with a very high clay. They didn't have to cap it with a low nutrient soil, but they did have to use clay to cap it off. So we're paying for the high clay and the low nutrient soil. It drains very poorly. And then you add the poor water quality that we have, and you have a clay soil and you water it with salty water, and it holds all that salt in the top. That's why when you're out here, if you play in the morning, it's very wet in the morning, and then in the afternoon it's very dry. It goes from wet to dry really fast because it doesn't, because of those salts, and the water doesn't have anywhere to go. Some of the things that we're doing to combat these issues, we did put on holes 1 through 6. That was about $65,000. We bought brand new sprinkler heads and put those in to help with distribution uniformity. I have some pictures of even just a green where you run the head for 3 minutes and it's already puddling up right next to the sprinkler head. Then there's no water, and then it puddles up again further away. That doesn't help us, especially in fairways that don't drain well. So we have installed 17 new drains. Our team did that, but we have 71 catch basins that we ordered them on early order and got a good price on them, that we're ready to keep putting them in as time allows. We will continue to inject acid and wetting agent that helps break down the salts and bicarbonates and move water through the soil. And then aerators were installed in the ponds to help stir up those ponds and move around that. A lot of that is also so they don't get stinky. If you guys have been out here in the summer when it's hot, the ponds get really stinky. So it's made a huge difference on hole 14. If you guys have noticed that pond's been much, much better this year. Today, actually, we put 10,000 pounds of organic fertilizer on holes 1 through 6. That is the 4th time we've done that in the last 2 years. That will continue to help build up the nutrients in the soil and help that become a more healthy soil. And then we will continue sand, compost, and topsoil top dressing. So basically trying to build that top layer up with some good material is what we're trying to do. And then deep tine aeration at a minimum of 2 times a year in the spring and the fall. That pokes holes so that we can get the water to move through. All right, so this is a picture from hole number 6 on July 16th, 2024. So last year, if you look at, we actually, this is with our Turf Logic drone that we use, and it gives us a number so that it's not me looking at the golf course going, oh, it's it's, you know, it's a 7 or whatever. It's not. This is a very data-driven number, and so this is number 6 fairway. This was a year ago. So 514, and if you look at the picture, you can kind of see the changes. So if you see, there's a lot more green grass on there. The green is what you're looking for. And it goes up to 539. We're making improvements. We're headed in the right direction. It doesn't feel like that some days. I'll admit that it's hard to look at those 6 fairways, or it's hard to look at this side of the river sometimes. But I can assure you that we are focused on getting this side of the river to match the other side of the river, which is going to be a challenge because of the soil issues that we have. But we've got the team in place, and I think we can get there. But I just want to show that we are making improvements. This was done in-house by my team. Hole number 17, we leveled the tee boxes, and so this was before. And then if you look at the after, the sod looks a little funny just because it was a little bit taller and got mowed down a little bit shorter. So it's fine. It just got unhappy for a couple days when I took this picture. But we actually added an additional 2,000 square feet of teeable area on that hole just by doing this project. And that's on this tee box here, and then this back tee box. All right, so what's next? So what's on the horizon here? What are we kind of looking at doing with the clubhouse, like Shannon talked about, looking at the roof windows and the siding. Golf course, we really are focused on the east side of the river. Drainage, improved turf health, irrigation efficiency improvements, and also water quality improvements with the injection and water treatment. So, and then coming down the road, driving range tee expansion. Regularly, the driving range is full of people are waiting in line to use the driving range, which is amazing because it's a very big driving range tee, but we have a lot of demand for it. So that is on the list. Additional tees added on especially holes 10 through 18 for all skill levels. As of right now, the white tee markers are in the fairway, and there's not an actual tee box for you to hit off of. There's only about a 30-yard difference on some holes, 15 to 20-yard difference on some holes from the forward tee to the back tee. So I think that's very important. And then pond bank stabilization on the east side of the river. The bunker on number 1's fallen into the pond. I don't know, it's gotten quite a bit smaller, along with all the pond banks on this side of the river especially. And then existing tee box leveling will continue. Next year we will do hole number 7, just like we did hole number 17. We'll do hole number 7 in-house, and coming down the road, hopefully sooner than later, is a full bunker renovation. So I think that would, me and Rick have spent a lot of time talking about making the two sides of the golf course match up. They're never going to be totally the same because we can grow trees on that side of the river, and this side of the river, the trees don't grow very well with a dump underneath. And so trying to match the bunker styling and green and bunker styling with both sides to make it not feel quite like you're on a completely different golf course. So that's what we've got coming up. Do you have anything you wanted to add on any of that, Rick?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Now we're going to open it up to you guys for some questions. Shannon will give you a microphone. It's just recording is all. It won't talk over that.
The stuff you mentioned, you're working on improving the fairways as far as the top dressing and the the fertilization. Will that probably take several years before you get it to where you're hoping it to be? What's the expectation of time on that?
Realistically, it's going to take some time. It's going to be a slow process. It's going to continue to improve a little bit at a time.
The easiest answer for me to explain that is it's taken 17 years to get to where we are. It's going to take at least half that much to get to where it used to be.
You can only add so many millimeters of soil at a time.
Exactly. I mean, the other option, which isn't a realistic option, is to close those 6 holes and completely rebuild them and cap them to the tune of $2.5–3 million, which we can't possibly do. So that's the only other thing I was going to add, and then we'll get to more questions, is just the whole issue with phasing construction. We need to do what we can to not impact play during the peak part of the season. So that makes it a little bit more challenging when Jeremiah's guys are trying to do in-house projects. They have to do them in the off season, otherwise their guys that are normally out doing routine maintenance aren't available for that. If we bring in a contractor, we want them to work in the spring and fall as well. So our windows in the spring and fall are very limited to do work on the golf course without impacting play. And that goes into all of the equations when we're looking at scopes of work as well. So.
Yeah, first of all, I just want to commend everybody on staff for taking this project on. I mean, it's a huge project, and as someone who's played here for years, I can't thank you enough. Question about the additional tees on the back. Do we have a timetable for that? Do you have a sense of when that would be? That's something of interest to the women's club for sure.
Yeah, so the question was, I'm just repeating it, do we have a timetable for the back 9 forward tees on the back 9? I think that it could potentially happen as soon as next year. We have all talked about planning that this season, and it depends on the availability of contractors and the scope of the work. You want to add?
Yeah. Just to add on to that a little bit more, a lot of what we do then when we're looking at projects is look at construction efficiencies. We don't want to pay extra money to haul dirt from off-site in to build tees. So ideally we want to build tees when we're creating dirt with other projects. For example, the bunker project. A bunker project is going to generate soil, and it's going to generate decent soil because the old dirty bunker sand that's contaminated, that doesn't work in the bunkers very well, works usually great as a top level surface for a tee top. So a lot of times we'll add those tees when we're doing a bunker project, but not always. There may be other projects that are higher on the priority list. The drainage project will generate soil, but that's not the soil that we want to use to build tees with. We want to bury that someplace and never see it again. So generally speaking, we know the tees are a high priority, but we'll try to work those in as part of another project where we're creating soil.
I was going to ask, is your maintenance, is your staff the same numbers as it was before, and which projects do you have to contract out and which can you do in-house besides the clubhouse?
Right, yeah, so the question was, is the staff the same as it is? Do you mean 5 years ago, 10 years? What do you want me to compare that to?
What would you like it to be? I mean, you need 100 people on staff to be able to do this, or?
I mean, we're trying to be affordable. That's the labor is expensive, so I do feel like we have the right amount of staff here to get done what we need to get done. We are going to get some contractors involved for the larger projects. Golf course construction isn't. I haven't done a lot of golf course construction. Neither is my team. And so for the bigger projects, we will get contractors involved. And like Rick was saying, we'll kind of piggyback off trying to do We'll figure out anticipate how much money that we're going to have to spend on those projects for the following year, and get as much done as we can with that, with that money. So,
Just give me a sense of what the size of your staff is right now.
so middle of the season, I've got 25 people, 25 guys.
All full-time or?
No, half are part-time, half are full-time. I could keep plenty of people busy, but to keep our labor budget in line with where we want to be, revenues and expenses, and in order for us to make money, I think we're right where we need to be. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, so
Okay.
how's that compare, though, to, say, a Denver public course of some sort?
I bet it's very comparable.
You think
Yeah.
so?
Yeah. In terms of full-time versus part-time and total numbers, yeah.
Yeah, I would think pretty comparable. I'm trying to just picture the guys that I know and their staff, and I don't think that I think we're right in line with where most municipal golf courses are with staff.
Kevin?
Maybe a question for you, Shannon. As far as revenues, I'm assuming they've been up since golf has been so busy. Do you forecast that there will be the revenues increasing to cover these expenses that you're forecasting?
I hope so. Yes, as you said, since COVID, golf has been very popular, and we have been benefiting with that and able to save money. That's kind of where we're at now, right? To forecast in future, it's, we're recreational dollars with the rumors of a recession. It's a little scary, but hopefully people will still want to play golf. But that's an unknown. Weather conditions, right? We had a great spring this year, so that was extra monies that we don't plan on, because you never know what the early spring and winter is going to be like. So far, yes, it's very favorable. And hopefully it will continue. I know right now with the city of Inglewood alone, they're concerned about 2026. And I know other divisions with the city of Inglewood, they're already looking at cutting costs, increasing revenues. We're a little unique, right? Because we're an enterprise fund. So far, I haven't had to follow along with those suggestions, but I don't know if that will come.
The city never takes money out of your budget for
They haven't recently. They have in the past, yes.
Where do you expand the driving range? I mean, you got a fence on either. I mean, do you go from the backside then, or I don't know how you can go east-west there.
Yeah, I'll take that one. The question was, where do we expand the driving range? And the key there is to level the tee. Instead of having the terraces, we give up at least 4 or 5 tee spaces because of the steps down. If we can regrade that tee all into one level, we'll capture at least 4 or 5 more hitting stations. The other plans on the master plan, and again, this is perhaps way into the future, but if you look, this brownish rectangle here is an indoor teaching facility that has, you've probably seen them at other golf courses, it has garage doors on the back side that open out onto the range, so that in bad weather it can have simulators indoors, we can have all of the high-tech teaching equipment in there, club fitting equipment in there, but then you can open up the garage doors and be able to hit golf balls out on the driving range too. But basically we would be making the main range tee all one level and then adding a brand new higher quality artificial turf strip at the back to use during the shoulder seasons and in the winter. The other improvements just shown, just so you know what you're looking at, this is where the existing putting green sits and a couple of the small short game greens. We would combine all of that into one large putting green putting course that could be rented separately or a revenue source perhaps to pay like putt-putt but on real grass, if you will. And then the short game area up here would be completely rebuilt with greens that are a little bit more receptive to various shots, a little bit more variety, a little bit easier to use and easier to maintain.
You mentioned additional revenue streams. Are those? Can you talk a little bit about what you're doing to increase the revenue to take on some of these projects?
That's a suggestion recommendation, as Rick mentioned. That's probably going to be farther down the line if it's even a possibility, but it's been discussed. It's an option. Right now, honestly, our user fees are what's paying for all this. So, we increased fees a little bit this year. Right now, the plan is not to increase fees for next year. There could maybe be some room maybe with the par 3 course. We're looking at maybe the range bucket prices a little bit. But we really haven't talked about like extra outside of golf revenue sources at this point. Just ideas.
I'm a finance guy, so I'll ask the finance question. What percentage of the money you're spending here at Broken Tee is for operating versus all of this plan? In other words, is the operating expenses half? That you spend half, and then all your development. What is that? I mean, what I'm trying to get to here is, if all of our development stuff is only 10% of the 90% of operating, so you know what I'm saying?
I do. He's asking about kind of what our operating finance expenses are for these golf action plan projects versus just normal operating cost. I don't know if we have a breakdown exactly, Walt. This is all new to us. And right now we're kind of looking at bigger projects to see if we have that extra one-time lump sum of money to do some major work. So we're still kind of, as Jeremiah outlined here, we have some things that we've allocated like $50,000 every year for cart path improvements. And things like that. So we're trying to do some regular things, tree planting, aerifying water quality. We're trying to do those on a regular basis and then trying to see what we have left over for monies and funds that we can do some larger projects that make a difference. I don't have a percentage right now.
Does the city have any? If you have a great big project that you want to do, but it's gonna. Do you save the money up for that, or does the city have any kind of funds available that you can kind of get to pay for that ahead of time and pay it back in future years?
So Walt's asking about if the city has any funding that could help us with some of these long or bigger projects that we could do in one sweep versus trying to save over time. Right now, the answer is no. Earlier this year and even late last year, there was a potential about maybe borrowing money from them, like a short-term loan. That is no longer an option based on their projections for 2026. So maybe down the road, potentially, possibility, but I don't have an answer for that. So we're kind of relying on ourselves to do this plan, and that's why we're trying to prioritize and think what our importance are and see if we can focus on a couple projects at a time and do some of the smaller ones ongoing.
It's nice to have a plan like this for 3 to 5, whatever, but you need to try to stay to the plan if you can, and a plan's a plan, and it always changing kind of thing. So what you promise in a plan sometimes may not be what you get because money's not be available and all of that stuff. So what are you going to do as far as reviewing this going forward, like this for like 3 years, 5 years? What are you going to do to report back that? Do you have to report that to the Inglewood finance people, or how do you keep that line, whatever going on that?
So the question was just how do we have to communicate what we're doing with our funds to the city and to you as well and staff? I can tell you, Jeremiah probably look at this plan and our finances every single day. We're trying to keep tabs on how we think we're going to project. Honestly, I've already had to put together my 2026 plan for golf operations. And it's very challenging to do that when I don't even know how 2025 is going to end up and looking. But it's ongoing. And, as I'm sharing with you with the Better Broken Tea plan, we have a web page up. So we're going to be transparent as possible with all of you on what we plan on doing. Our priorities, yes, could change on an annual basis, but I think Jeremiah have really looked and planned it out and kind of have an idea of what we want our priorities to be over the next 3, 5+ years. But it could change as well, as you said, because we may not have the funding.
So you say this is out on a web page?
It is.
So you can keep an eye?
Yes, so the little flyers I have on the table has a QR code that will take you directly to our webpage on our website. So we do our best to always send updates. Also, since you signed up for this, we will send out quarterly kind of more detailed notifications to everyone about what the projects that we are working on. So we'll keep you abreast. And as you all know, hopefully too, you're always welcome to come and ask us questions.
If the city needs money, can they come and get it from Broken Tea? You know what I know this is a different kind of a funding source.
Yes.
But can the city get to your money here?
So the question is, could the city come and take their money? Yes, the answer is yes. They have in the past. I've been here.
I know.
They have. Have they done that yet? No. They also know we got their blessing, right? From city leadership, they wanted us to come up with this action plan too, because they wanted us to make sure that we're financially sustainable and stable over time. And they know that we need to make improvements. So that's why this plan's been put in place, so that they can see that our funds are going to be accounted for. And we just have to make sure that I'm sharing information with our director, Christina Underhill, part of our department, and share it on up the line so everyone knows and understands that we have work to do and we plan on doing those projects. So fingers crossed, we can keep all our money.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Gary, can I grab that?
Very good on the greens this year and last year. They're coming around, all the men's club. They love the firmness of the greens, and they're not ripping up with approach shots and stuff, so that's kudos. On the bunker rebuilds, is it going to be, your plan is to do them all? And will they be done? I was at Colorado National, and they were redoing their rebuilds, and they put like the silicone base in there that was like, is it going to be like that?
The short answer is yes. So the question was, are the bunkers going to be rebuilt, and are they all going to be rebuilt? Yes. The goal of the master plan would be to have a singular bunker style that is the same throughout, rather than the die style and the old Phelps bunkers that are long overdue from being rebuilt. So the style that I'm recommending, and this still is yet to be determined and won't be determined until right before we do it, and at that point we'll probably have more presentations with photo examples, would be kind of a mixture of the two. They would be smaller than the west side bunkers, the old Phelps bunkers, but have a little bit more character and interest than the simple silver dollar die bunkers with grass down the face. I would recommend using a liner product. It may not be the one that you saw at Colorado National. There's 3 to 5 of them on the market now that are all very competitive. It works wonders for drainage. We talked earlier about how bunker sand evolves. It postpones that by double, more than double. It also makes storm damage a lot easier to deal with. The bunkers will handle a much more significant rain event without the sand washing down and having to cause the maintenance crew to go back out and shovel and rake the sand back up on faces and things like that. Up until 2013, I wasn't a very big supporter of the old liner products, but you all remember the floods that we had here in 2013. I had just finished a project down at Kissing Camels in their short game area, and they got 6 inches of rain in 3 hours. And I went out there the next day, and the bunkers looked perfect. Everything else was destroyed, but the bunkers looked perfect. So they work. They definitely work.
So is that on the plan to do that? Because
Yes.
it sounds like in the back end it pays off, even though it may cost more in the front.
Exactly. So it would be more of an upfront expense, but I would highly recommend that we use one of the 3 or 4 competitive liner products, yes.
Do you want to speak on 17 as an example, or not yet? I don't know what you're work in progress.
Yeah, we're working on 17.
Other questions? Hopefully it was helpful. Yeah.
So what happened to the sod on 6? It seemed like that's the only thing that died.
Yeah, the drainage is the main issue there. You know, we put the sod on top. We didn't. We put some sand and compost underneath the sod, but it just didn't. The water didn't have anywhere to go, and it just sat right there where the roots were trying to root in, and it didn't root into the clay. And then it got hot. You know, we tried to not have a lake down in the low area and keep it watered correctly, and it didn't like the soil. And you know, really the soil and the drainage are the issue, and we could keep putting sod on that, and I'm pretty confident the same thing would happen at this point. We've just got to keep adding drainage and keep changing that soil profile.
So the top dressing you're using is that I noticed was this brown stuff, right?
Yep, so it's actually an 80-20 blend of athletic sand and Command, which is a compost from the Anheuser-Busch facility. So it's fermented compost. It's actually really good, has really good microbes and bugs for the soil in it. So yeah, it's good stuff.
So it just improves the soil there in time.
In time, exactly. And the compost will help it hold. Yep. It's not going to happen overnight, unfortunately. So we have seen big improvements in the drainage that we have put in there, though. Been able to keep that watered like it needs to be watered, where the hills going up have the right moisture content without having a whole bunch down in the bottom, a whole bunch of water. So I think I feel confident we're getting closer. So, yeah. Cool. Any more questions? Awesome. Thank you guys for coming. It's exciting to talk about.